Okay, good morning, everybody, and hope everybody's having a great weekend. And we have a really great program this morning. I appreciate all of you joining in. We've got a big meeting, a lot of people jumping on now. And anyway, hey, listen, hopefully you are where you can focus and get, for about the next hour and 15 minutes. Again, it's going to be a powerful session. Bill Orender, I'll talk more about him in just a second. Hey, before I do that though, I want to just mention a few things to you. First of all, we'll be closing out the month on Tuesday night. They've extended it to midnight, noon, Eastern time. So that'll be good. So we've got through Tuesday basically, which is great. Having another big month as the hierarchy. And anyway, also the next day at noon Eastern will be the RVP locker room, and it's going to be a great program. I'll be announcing incentives for September as we move into a new month, and they've opened that up to all reps in the company again, which I think is awesome. And as a matter of fact, we had the field advisory conference, FAC conference call, or Zoom call this week with Glenn Williams and Peter Snyder. And really it's incredible. I mean, I could take the next, hour and go through all this. I mean, it's just awesome things that the company is working on. And folks, you know what? I mean, our business model, I mean, Primerica, we are positioned to absolutely explode and dominate the financial business. I believe hopefully the next, decades, right? This could go on. And as we have that attitude we've always had since I've been here, it's just always get better, always improve, always get better. And you think about why it's happening the way it is. But if you look at our business model, I remember when I came here, decades ago, the company was 2 years old. And the business model we had of entrepreneurship and all the things that we stand for and believe in, it just, I was a 24-year-old kid out of the military and in college and a newlywed. And so you just think about what we're positioned to go do. And then also for people to be able to come in and build a family business, it's really incredible. And, you think about, even since the pandemic, and my brother Mike talks about that, if you look at what the company's done with technology and the way we've invested in that over the last decade, it put us so far ahead of the curve. So when this pandemic hit, we were able, as Mike talks about, to just pivot and combine with our technology. We actually have found a better way to build the business. And I think in so many ways, we won't go back to the old way of doing it. And whether it's developing a client or just like yesterday, folks, just an example, I've got a friend of mine, Corey, who's down in New Orleans. Corey works in the French Quarter, and he's the kind of the main guy down there, the bellman. When you go to the Ritz-Carlton, right? Corey is the man. He's been there 20 years. He and I have built a great relationship, friendship. And so Jill and I, that's been kind of a getaway place for us. So I called Corey, and we were talking the other day that how things have changed in the quarter in the hospitality business. And by the way, if you know anybody in that business, restaurants, hotels, entertainment, all that. Man, you need to be talking to them. And, but anyway, like Corey and I yesterday, okay? Yesterday afternoon, we jumped on the Zoom, okay? And he was on his front porch. I was in my office, okay? And, we spent probably 30 minutes, me going through my little slideshow I shared with him and that type of thing. Well, at the end of it, he said, man, look, I'm in, and I've got people that'll matter of fact, I think Corey may be on this morning, but I've got people that may be wanting to come in with me. And so next Wednesday, we're doing his IBA and knock that out. And so if you just think about the way we've been able to do that and adjust, and the thing about it is, all of that happened within an hour, right? And I was here, he was there, and man, it's incredible. So also think about this. Think about just like this morning. Think about from building a team standpoint, from being able to communicate with each other. I know one of the things our hierarchy, we're crossing over now 220 regional vice presidents. And one of the things that we decided to do years ago, decades ago, is we got to build not just in Mississippi. I knew that I was not going to build an intergalactic business just in Mississippi. So we said, hey, we've got to expand. We've got to be able to get out. And so we've got people all over the place in North America. But just like this morning, us being able to communicate, I think we're communicating better now as a hierarchy than we ever have. I'm talking about all of our leaders and the things that we're able to plug into now that weren't available, 10 years ago. It wasn't available 10 years ago. So, hey, we appreciate all of you, all of the leadership team, all of our regional vice presidents. Guys, we've been together. I was thinking this morning, probably our average regional vice president, we've been together now 20 years, right? And we got so many young people coming in. We always want to keep that going, but we appreciate the leadership team. Also, we appreciate our partners, our significant others, right? In our life, our spouses, and but building that family business is so incredible. Also, the new people. Listen, there may be some new people on here this morning, and the great thing about Primerica right now, it's a current event. It's not just people that like me said, look, this is what I did 40 years ago or 30, whatever. But you've got the Mika Sanders, right? Who's been here 6 years, and what took me 20 years to do, a seven-figure income in year 2000, what took me 20 years to do, she just did it in 6 years, which means the opportunity is better today than it's ever been, and for new people. What an incredible thing. And think about the credibility. Just look at the partners that we've got in our business, the companies that have joined up with us. I mean, it's like the who's who of like the financial business that are doing business, that we're brokering their services. It's really incredible. So speaking of leadership, this morning is a special time for all of us. And I know we've got so many people have been excited about hearing from Bill. Bill and I have been doing this. If you add up all our years together, I guess in a few years, we're getting ready to click over triple digits, okay, between the two of us. And, Bill Orender worked with the great Virginia Carter. And, he actually did the first expansion in our company's history. Pretty much we were limited to a Georgia company. And, we were going through so much stuff with the regulators and all that. And I remember Art Williams telling the story, and they said, okay, look, we got to get spread out, okay? Because everybody was kind of hanging around Georgia and around Art, and there was such synergy. And so Bill and Carol Orender, they moved to Texas. They said, ma'am, we'll go. And they moved to Texas and did the first expansion and really kind of helped set the model of what that was going to look like. And so Bill is a builder. He is a gifted communicator. He's written a couple of different little booklets. I remember one that the Deception of the Corporate Dream. I used to hand that out all the time to people, and Art had it printed and all this stuff. Such a great book, and he's written another little book besides that. But he's a gifted communicator. And Jill said this morning, she said, when I think about Bill Orender, I think about wisdom, and he definitely has the gift of wisdom in the way he looks at things and explains things. So, but again, him and, you know, his family is incredible. Him and Carol, you can't think of him without thinking about her. And so it's incredible. He's a servant. He's won every award, I guess, known to man in Primerica. Okay. And so, but I guess one of his biggest things, I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse, but he and Mike Tuttle actually have been neighbors for decades. Okay. There's no telling what kind of stories he could tell us about Mike Tuttle. So we also appreciate Tony Alexander, one of his fellow RVPs that's going to be running his slides. So you're in for a real treat, Bill. We so appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday morning to talk to our team, and man, we appreciate you guys. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Bill. So if you can unmute yourself, we'll go.
You there, Bill? Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're good. Perfect.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate Jill saying I have wisdom. Wisdom comes from age, and so I'm happy to be my age and happy to have been around long enough to see so many successful people in Primerica that we're enjoying. And I want to have you take a moment and to gather yourself and really ask, is the Primerica opportunity equal to my desires in life? Most people, when I was at the steel company, my dreams were here and the steel company was here. And I had to lower my dreams for the steel company. In Primerica, here's where you can go. Here's the possibilities. And everyone comes here like this and not able to really gather and use all the Primerica system completely. Like Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, says, success does not come from hard work or an education. It comes from being at the right place at the right time with the right system. And so we've got the system. Do you have the appetite? Do you have the desire? Have you fallen so far trying to meet the expectations of a job that you can't dream anymore? So I'm going to ask you maybe for the next little bit, maybe to listen harder than you've ever listened to anything before in your life, because the rest of your life is at stake. And frankly, your children's and your children's children. You know, Virginia Carter passed away 10 years ago, and her family has been sharing $55,000 a month for the last 10 years, and none of them are licensed. So not just her life, but her children's life. And last month, David, that hierarchy was paid $110,000. And her daughter called and says, well, how long will this money keep coming in? I said, about 100 years. So what's at stake is not your life, your next 5 or 10 years, but the next 100 years of your family history. What legacy do you want to leave your family? What does a job bring you? So the question is, are you prepared mentally? You know, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And we have the opportunity. Do you want to get lucky? Well, you've got to have the preparation. And we have to first take a look at what's available. You know, years ago, I went fly fishing with my kiddos, and we went to Idaho. And we had to drive to the spot, and the guide said, this is interesting. He said, for the next 25 miles, look to your right, look to your left. That's all McDonald's potatoes for 25 miles. Right, left, far as the eye can see. It was enormous. But when we take a look at the potential market availability to those who want to grasp it and reap it and harvest it, it's massive. Tony, can you show that that slide, please? See, the harvest is big. Imagine sitting in a field, far as the eye can see, the next 100 miles, and right, left, and as far as the eye can see. And the question is, it's all ready to be harvested. As Deuteronomy says, you're going to have houses you did not build. You're going to have land you did not buy. You're going to have cisterns you did not dig. It'll all be given to you. The question is, how much of it do you want? As you can see, these are all combines. If you're not familiar with the farming industry, combines mean you don't need a lawnmower. You need to be an RVP, and those are all RVPs you need underneath you to harvest all of it. The next one, please. Again, there's 120 million families in America that all need an extra $400,000 of life insurance. What are you going to do about it? That's your harvest. You didn't do anything to grow those families. You didn't do anything to have those families have children. You didn't do anything to have those families have the need, and they all need more life insurance. We all know about the wall of wealth. $65 trillion is available. Trillion. What's $1 trillion? If you had a city of 1 million homes worth $1 million each, that's $1 trillion. We are getting filthy wealthy by taking phone calls of people that want to move their money. We're taking phone calls. Wealth is just enormous out there. We didn't do anything. We didn't plant those 401ks for these families years ago. We didn't do anything about creating wealth for them so they leave inheritances. We didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You didn't even do anything to get here. You got a phone call. You didn't even call us. See, you have to understand you're a chosen person, favored by God. If not, you wouldn't be here. The question is, what are you going to do with that blessing? A blessing isn't a blessing until you give the blessing away, because you realize, I'm blessed with it. I want other people to be blessed with it. That's why, to me, recruiting is more of an attitude and understanding and a concept than it is a fact. There's a title in the study saying the world's broken workplace, that 85% of workers say they hate their jobs. This is a quote. I'm not making this up. It's not that they don't like it, they hate it. That's a harvest for people to get involved, waiting to be called by you, zoomed by you, Tony. Warren Buffett said, opportunities come infrequently. When it rains good, put out the bucket, not the thimble. How many folks have a thimble recruiting system going on in their office? I got me one last month. You don't get it. Unless you're double digiting recruiting, you have a thimble mindset. Tony? Financial vaccine. You know, right now in America today, they got this COVID, and they're working on a vaccine that will obviously prevent the infections for you. Not your family, you. And one day they're going to have it. But you know something? There's going to be something else come down the road. Wouldn't it be nice if you can have one vaccine that would fix anything to come down the road from an infection standpoint? Well, out there, there's a financial vaccine available for people. Imagine that. Recruiting inoculates your whole family for 100 years from all kinds of financial viruses, financial diseases, financial illness. Is your family inoculated? Your family, your friends, wouldn't you want to be inoculated? A Zoom call is the beginning of the inoculation. You know, David just talked about how our business is recording in great months, new RVPs, new $1 million earners. You know why? Because we got the financial vaccine right here. And we're inviting everybody on this call to start double-digit recruiting, so you have the financial vaccine. No matter what president we have, no matter what the economy looks like, no matter what disease comes down the road, you've got that financial vaccine. That vaccine's your entire family for the next 100 years, and you've got now to do it. Like Virginia, she inoculated her family for the 100 years. Sad if you say, well, we're doing pretty good, we're making enough money, folks. What do you have fixing your financial illnesses coming down the road for everybody? Tony? Again, the harvest is here. The question is, are you ready? Now, what means that you have to have a system, not just, I want to harvest as much as I can. You want to have a system to harvest everything, and we've been given that system by Art Williams. Tony? You know, Art Williams, you know, and you probably saw this book, the locker room notes by Art Williams, where I had taken notes. Every time Art spoke, I pulled out a separate notepad, and every time he spoke, I wrote it down. Just wrote it down. And through a series of events for 35 years, no one could read my writing. I couldn't read my writing. And interpretation was hard to come out and publish it. Through a series of events, we finally did a couple of years ago. And I finished it up, and we sent the book to Art. It looked a lot like this. And except Art said, Bill, you're right. It's a great thing. Publish it. But Bill, there's something needed to be added. We started a company in February 1977. In June of 1977, we had this special retreat for all 85 people. Remember the original 85 people up in Unicoi, Georgia. And Bill, I have the original notes from that meeting. Let me send them to you, and you can add them to the book. So the first chapter of this book is not my words writing down what Art said. It was actually Art's words he told us in June of 1977. And so if you go, in my mind, the first 12 pages of this book highlight, and everything else is just kind of explaining the first 12 pages. He set it in motion, the greatness that you see today, and his vision and his mind to run an RVP factory, to start a company within a company. So you're not here to be a Series 65 license and have 100 clients. You can, but that's a waste of opportunity. That's a waste of a system. He created a system where your family can benefit for the next 100 years by growing and creating RVPs, having 7 RVPs, who have 7 RVPs, who have 7 RVPs. I am a disciple of Art Williams. You know, if I'm saying something today and I'm not quoting Art Williams, don't listen to me. You know, there's a lot of great people in Primerica, and you ask them, who you listen to? It better be Art Williams. But interestingly, if you go to page 7, he gives you the formula. I call it the Coca-Cola formula. You know, Coca-Cola's got their formula in a vault. Well, in 1989, Art Williams sold his formula to Citigroup for $1 billion. The same formula they bought for $1 billion, you bought for $99. Yeah. See, Citigroup we didn't have any buildings. We didn't have any land. We didn't have any rolling stock. We just had an idea. We had a method of creating unlimited numbers of wealthy people through a system. So if you take a look, Art Williams built a system that if we followed that formula, if you're not succeeding, the answer is you're not doing what he says on page 7. If you go to page 7, and Tony, we'll pull that up right now. Here's what he said on page 7. This is from 1977, Art Williams, right? First of all, step 6, there's only one head coach. That's me. You got it, which means you should have one voice in your hierarchy. That's why you've got to be very careful how many people you let into your hierarchy to talk. That's why, David, I'm very grateful that you trusted this 1 hour with me to your hierarchy. And I'm grateful for that. And here's what he says, how to keep momentum. You grow by multiplication. Most people in Primerica are growing through addition. Hiring somebody, training somebody, duplicating themselves. Your job is not to duplicate yourself here. Your job is to multiply yourself here. How do you do that? You recruit 3 people. We all know to do that. So the first thing you do to somebody is not get them licensed. The first thing you do to somebody is get them 3 people. And the company is even giving you a bonus now, the field training bonus, to make sure you do that. Again, Art said in following pages that 80% should be married or significant other, as David said earlier. You field train those directs and get them 3 recruits. You hear that? What's field training? You get them out into the field to get them 3 people. So you get 3 people and you turn those into 9 people within a week. I tell people when I interview them, if I can't get you 3 to 4 people in a week, I'll buy you a steak dinner. Then the big one, drive each recruit down 4 deep. This is a hidden secret Art Williams strategy. No one in this company purposely takes somebody 4 deep. Yeah, who was 4 deep? Mario Arizon. Who was 4 deep? Miguel Illich was 4 deep. Who was 4 deep? Assad Faraj. I can go on and on and on. You know, I talked to Miguel Illich. He said I was 4 deep. In fact, the last 2 RVPs I produced were 4 deep. But how many people, when they recruit them, purposely take them down to 4 deep? And then explode your team to 81 recruits by 3/9/27/81. 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. Remember back, David, in 2011, when Art Williams spoke to the company hierarchy of the company of 53,000 people, he said, here's how I did it. 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. And then you should have 7 who have 7 who have 7, and you're making over $3 million a year when you have 7 RVPs who have 7 RVPs who have 7 RVPs. Again, go to the next one, Tony. Let's really talk about this. J. Paul Getty said, instead of having 100% income off of one person, it is better to have 1% off 100. The decision is not to join Primerica. The decision is, do I want to make all my money working just me? Or do I want to have 100 or more people? Art Williams said there's 2 things that blew his butt out of the water: the rule of 72 and the power of compounding people, the multiples. You have got to want your income coming from 100 or more people. That's the only decision you have to make. And when you go to recruit somebody, if their decision isn't, do I want to be in Primerica? Do I want to have 100 people? And now, how do I get 100 people? They don't. You get it for them by taking their 3, turning it into 9, turning it into 27, turning it into 81. The hardest concept for people to get. And it's a long story. Unless you want to get wealthy, this is the secret to wealth. Tony? Sam Walton said you must learn to multiply so you can be more in one place at a time. You know, I just looked on this now, and David's got 379 people on this call. 379 people. He's sitting there drinking a cup of coffee and having 379 people unleashed in the next 45 minutes. Why? He's learned to multiply himself. You haven't. All you know how to do is work hard, work really, really hard, get a degree, get certified, work really, really hard, be an expert. Folks, I'm not an expert. I just learned to multiply myself, and so is David. Next one, please. Compounding is the 9th wonder world if you use it. Now, why is that important? We understand compounding in money, but do we understand compounding in people? Tony? Interesting quote from 1910 from a man named Wallace Wattles. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, and the rest of the industrialists have been the unconscious agents in the unnecessary work of systematizing and organizing industry. These are the great in American history. They will be succeeded by the agents of the multipliers who will organize the machinery of distribution. That's us. That's Primerica. That's David Landrum and Mike Landrum in jail. That's Bill Orender, Virginia Carter, Mario Arizon, Mike Sharp. Are you an agent of the multiplier? Or are you what? Trying to get somebody licensed so they can make some sales so you can make a few dollars in overrides this month? Tony? Art's game plan. Build an RVP factory. You don't run a base shop. You run an RVP factory. You're supposed to have RVPs. RVPs, so this is right out of the locker room notes. RVP is the starting line. You got to be an RVP. Why? So you can get a higher contract, make more money, get bonus? No. It's only by being an RVP can you create RVPs. and build that company within a company. David Landrum doesn't have a business. He has a company. David Landrum doesn't have a team. He has an army. Don't you want an army? I don't know. I've got 4,000 coded, licensed people out there, some way, shape, or form, creating an income for me. Don't you want that? And for your fellow person, RVP, your own boss, goals, promote RVPs. How many? 7 to 10. And I'm going to show you a little bit. You only have to create 2 RVPs in your life. That's it, 2. Watch how replacement will give you the other 6 to 9 direct RVPs. And then you help those 7 to 10 create 7 to 10 and help them create 7 to 10 to 7 to 10. Ian Proctor, you heard him, he's a 7th generation to me. So this thing is working. See, the question is your appetite big enough for this opportunity, for the harvest that has been given to you? You did not create. You didn't do anything for it. You've been blessed by God. I believe everything is happening is a blessing from God, favored by God to have this. But what page are you on in a locker room notes book? You got to be on page 7 with Art, because Citigroup paid him $1 billion to get it. So it must have some value to it. Tony? See, this is right from Art Williams. You know, Art Williams did a podcast with Ian Proctor. And he was on it for 10 minutes. He pulls out this sheet here. How you got to get 3 people. Take those 3 people, help them get 3. And help those 3 people get 3 people. That's a sheet he came up with. I put all the numbers in there. Why would Art Williams, who has a precious hour with the field force, show this if we're not important? Your job is to recruit 3 people and get them 3 people. You're a people getting machine. I'm not a big believer in getting code numbers. I'm a big believer in getting people, and getting people. And in all that, someone's going to get coded. Now, you do all the right things, but it's easier to get somebody coded when he's got 3 people underneath him. It's easier to get somebody coded when he's got 12 people underneath him. It's easier to get somebody coded when he's got 81 people wanting to make him money. He's going to run out and get his license quickly. Tony? I saw that. I couldn't believe it. Albert Einstein. Let's talk about how do you become an RVP? 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3. The smartest man in the universe at that time. And he's telling people the formula that he created to create RVPs. Tony? You must believe, Art Williams said, they must believe they only need 3. In other words, they must believe I only need 3 people and all this is going to happen. See, they got 100 names in their cell phone, which is what? The harvest that's an oil well in their backyard is called their cell phone. 100 names. Now tell me you can't get 3 people from everybody's 100 names in a cell phone. Tony? Art Williams, if he showed us this once, he showed us, David, you saw this, David. You're shaking your head right now, I'm sure. You get 2 people and you multiply them, you get 256. But look at this, you get 3, 6,500, 4, 65,000. Why would he show us this, David, if it was not the most important thing that he could share with us? You get 6 directs and help them get 6 and help them get 6. You get 1.6 million people. That's how Art Williams grew this thing from 85 people, David, in 1977. And in 12 years later, he had 250,000 licensed people. What are we missing? You've been at this thing for months and you don't have anybody yet? You don't understand Art Williams, Tony. Now, let me give you some quotes. The multiple are the math of hope. That's what Art Williams said. There's no hope without the multiples. You're not here to be a licensed long-term salesperson. Remember Art Williams said in A.L. Williams way, Nobody wants to sell anything to anybody, especially life insurance. He said, people come here for freedom of time and money, and that's called overrides. Everybody, the only reason they come here is for overrides, and the only reason they stay is because they're getting an override. Our job is to create the people from their 100 names in their cell phone to start that RVP factory. Another one, a lot of people are building by addition, which means you recruit somebody, you get them licensed, and hope they'll go out and sell something. Anybody on this call ever said, I've got all these people and no one's doing anything? That's right. That's called you recruited people and you expected them to do something, so you're building through addition. It says here, building by addition, Art said, is a scarcity mentality, which operates out of fear. Fear that I can't sell, so I want these other guys selling for me. I had a guy admit the other day, he said, down deep, Bill, I just want 5 people writing 3 sales a month each. That's all I want. Guess what? He hasn't found those 5, and he's been looking for years. I asked one guy, I said, how many people do you have hired, trained, and licensed? He said 100. I said, great. Are they doing anything? He said, no. What does that tell you? Art's right. Nobody wants to sell anything to anybody, but everybody wants to override. Thus, you got to bring them in to make them an RVP, or they're going to be gone. And what? They're gonna flee the minute they have the first objection. Bill Gates said this: you must think to 10th to the 6th power, 10th to the 7th power. What's 10th to the 6th? 6 generations of overrides. You can't be thinking me and 5 other people are going to make a bunch of sales and we're going to do that every month. Not going to happen. Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote a wonderful, a masterpiece, and it says, millionaires never depend upon one income. Millionaires want what? 1% off 100. Guess who's in play right now? In Dallas, Fort Worth, there's 3,100 small businesses that have gone under because of the pandemic. What does that mean? They're already the 1% off 100 thinkers. They're out there. They want to override other people. That's why they started the business. The multiples are the only way to wealth. You know what wealth is? Wealth is having an income so you don't have to work. Wealth is not having Rolls Royces and BMWs and 18 houses. No. Art Williams built a whole company on what? I don't want anybody having their thumb on me. So guess what he had to do? David Landrum's got 200 RVPs. No one's got their thumb on him. He's got permanent financial vaccine in his blood. And the minute his kids are born, they have the vaccine. And the minute the grandkids are born, they've got the vaccine. Because what? He got the vaccine. He in jail. And he started that vaccine with a shot of 10 recruits a month coming in. And then do what? Do something with those 10 recruits. And page 7 is the holy grail of Primerica. You know, Art Williams left us, but he left us the gift of the page 7. You know, one guy said, and I liked it so much, he said, when Art left, we lost the art of building and creating hierarchies. And so hierarchies are the lifeblood. It's not recruiting. It's what do you do with those recruits? And so let me give you something else that, as we start spinning off what that Art gave us. You know, in the early days, Rusty Crossland was direct to Bob Buisson. Now, Rusty was recruited by Art and put under Bobby back in those days, because at Waddell and Reed at ITT, in fact, ITT Financial Services. Interesting point. At that Unicoin meeting, Art left ITT to go for Waddell and Reed. I joined at Waddell and Reed. And we're coming back from Unicoin, and I was driving Art back. And Virginia was in the back seat, and Art was selling me the dream, Bill. I mean, it's amazing. He just got off 24 hours of nonstop. He was in the car, Bill, this is going to be great. You're going to have so many RVPs. We're going to run an RVP factory down. Bill, you can be an RVP. Now you can have as many RVPs as you want. Understand that. 6 months earlier, at Waddell and Reed, sell, till the rest of your life. So we're the only place on this planet. You know, I was talking to somebody, David. And I'm shocked that other companies haven't copied our system. Biggest shock is our own people have not copied this system. They're copying the Waddell and Reed system. They're copying the other company system, not the Art Williams system. Get licensed and sell, and get other people to sell for you. That doesn't work. Art tried it. And I asked Art, I said, Art, why did you leave ITT and go to work for Waddell and Reed? He said, because they had another level on the computer, and so my people could recruit and override other people and start the multiplication process. And we left Waddell and Reed to slam dunk the concept of unlimited RVPs, to have unlimited RVPs. We didn't start this thing to be a sales organization. Nobody wants to sell. Art Williams, E.A. Williams said, we're not a sales company. We're an override company. But Art gave us, and I wish I had a PowerPoint on this, and David, I'm gonna try to show you something here. There's something called replacement in our company. Replacement is the gift that Art Williams gave us to master 7 to 10 first generation RVPs. And replacement is this, and I know it because the first one to give up a replacement in company history was Rusty Crossland. The second one was me. When I came to Dallas, Texas, I left my whole hierarchy behind. And I could not wait to leave them all behind. You know why? Because I said, man, when I promote an RVP, they're gonna leave me a replacement. And what happens is you get a good person, they go RVP, but guess what they do? They leave you with a replacement. You go RVP, replacement, they go RVP. You got the picture. You only have to produce 2 RVPs in your life. The first one you leave as a replacement to your upline. And then the second one is what? You start taking replacements. Brilliant. Folks, I'm telling you, without replacement, our company cannot exist the way it is today. And let me give you some examples. In this book, in the locker room notebook, on pages there's 5 different pages. Art Williams says in this book, page 20, if it doesn't hurt when you go RVP, your RVP didn't take enough. It doesn't sting a little bit. Why? Art Williams said you build 7 to 10 key RVPs and you get them from replacement. You get them from replacement. Art Williams also said, understand and teach good replacement. It's like exchanging your personal sale. Now you get you can buy your own product and you make the commission, but all the people you recruit, they buy their own product. So I give up my personal sale to my upline, and guess what? I get all those direct line recruits, I get 10 sales instead of 1. People that don't understand ownership exchange and replacement. He said, we give people like us a chance. Replacement. This is Art Williams' words. Gives people like us a chance to build it big because of replacement. And it's the only way to get 7 to 10 direct RVPs. You know, Mike Sharp, you know who he is, obviously. What are qualifications to go RVP? You know what he said? A killer replacement. In other words, you got to have a great replacement. I asked Doug Hartman one time, we were on a boat, David, you were probably with us on the Rhine River on this ship. And I said, Doug Hartman, how come Mike Sharp is so successful? He said, he knows how to take replacements and he does it well, just like Art Williams told us to. And replacement's a gift that keeps on giving. In other words, just promote one RVP after you're an RVP, replacement. You got 7 to 10 first generations in 2 or 3 years. And you're making $500,000 a year in 2 or 3 years because you understood replacement. And how do I know you understand replacement? because you gave a great replacement. I gave a great replacement. Not that I had to, I wanted to. I understood it. Why? It was a cornucopia of my dreams. I could promote one RVP, replacement. You go to my base shop right now and you say, now, what are you going to give Bill when you go RVP? And they look at you and say, is this a joke? Well, no, what are you going to give up to Bill? Are you going to give up 2 legs? You're going to give up 2 districts? You're going to give up an RL? By the way, what's an RL? Anybody on this call, you want an RL? I'll send 100 to you. Code numbers. Anybody want? I'll send 200 code numbers to anybody on this call. I'll send them to you. Yeah, I'll transfer them to you. 200 people. You know, one guy said, I'll take them. Why would I give you 200 code numbers? You're not doing anything. Why would I give you an RL? Because he's not doing anything. It should never be legs, and it should never be titles. It should be what? Producing legs. That's what you want. And so you ask anybody in my base shop, they'll say, I'll give Bill whatever he wants, as much as he wants. What if he wants my whole base shop? I'll give it to him. Why? They understand replacement. Now, why would you do that? So I can get what? All I want. And then I give up replacement. I can get all I want. He can get all he wants. You see, this nickel and dime, 2 legs, a company says, folks, those are small thinkers. They'll never succeed here and create RVP factory. Don't listen to them. I'm telling you right now, don't listen to the company when it comes to replacement. Don't, because they want legs and titles. Doesn't work. Or codes. Now, you've got to have a killer replacement, and so that they're leaving behind an RVP, and they're leaving behind an RVP. Art says it's not a good replacement if it doesn't make you feel bad for a second or two. You can never commit to never commit to a replacement without calling your upline SNSD. In other words, if I'm downline of David, I'm calling David. David, John's about ready to go RVP. Who should I take as a replacement? And then both of you get on a phone call with the guy. Why? Because he will negotiate. Like I heard this, life don't give you what you want, it will give you what you negotiate. There should be no negotiation on replacement. Let me give you the statistics, right? Bill Whittle from College Temple got 7 direct replacements. College Temple left replacement, that guy. And you know, how could I be a Bill Whittle? I just told you. Frank Dillon, fastest person to $1.5 million year income. Had 1 RVP, Joe Tanzi. Replacement, got 9 directs from Joe. Jim Coker got 13 direct RVPs from 2 RVP replacements. From 2 guys that went RVP, got 13 directs. We think these guys are great. No, the system is great. Mika Saunders, you just mentioned him, her in Chicago. She's got 5 direct RVPs, 4 from replacement. Fastest person in history to go to $1 million. Mario Arizon, you get ready, your socks knocked off. 19 firsts. Where'd he get them all? From 2 RVPs replacements. See, I was talking to a guy one day, and he said, I said, I want to talk to you about, you're so humble. I mean, you're doing, I appreciate your humility and your success. He said, Bill, I understand I'm 1 bad replacement from the bottom. David, you ever taken a bad replacement? Yeah. How'd that work out, David? You know what happens when you allow someone to go RVP without an RVP replacement? I'm not talking about replacement. I'm talking about an RVP. You're basically going home to your wife and kids and saying, you know, Sally, John here, you know, he doesn't quite cut the mustard, so I'm letting him go without a replacement. So you won't see me for 2 more years. Won't see me because I got to go out there and find another RVP and create one. So I prefer John to be with his family than to be with me, be with you and our kids. No, John that's the qualification to go RVP, not premium, not how many districts you have, because you know a lot of people have made up districts. What are you going to give me, Bill? What do I have to give up, Bill? Oh, do you understand Primerica? Yeah. You tell me what you're going to give up. I'm not going to tell you what to give up. I'm going to test you. You tell me what you're going to give up to go RVP. And that will let me know whether or not you'll have 7 to 10 first generation yourself. You are one RVP away from an explosion. So as we continue, I could talk about that all day long, but there's other things that David asked me to talk about. Now we're going to talk about my favorite subject. You know, one of my favorite people in the history of this company is a guy named Bo Adams. To me, Art and Bo were the 2 engines that got this thing going. And Bo, I had a personal relationship with Bo, and Bo, you know, when I left Bo, I thought my last name was Dumbass. Because he'd say, Orender, you're right, dumbass. Because I didn't think big enough. I mean, my mind just could not wrap around thinking big. As big as you think you're thinking, you're not. David's not thinking big enough. I'm not thinking big enough. I struggle with thinking big. Why? Because it's like we can't think like God thinks. We try to understand God. You can't. That's God. Well, when I became a cash millionaire, which is 8 years after I joined the company, thank God, because I saved my money, I worked hard, blah, blah, blah. And I told Bo, we had a big hierarchy meeting in Central Texas, and I said, you know, told Bo I topped over cash millionaire, cash and investments. And I was making probably $500,000 a year back then. And he stood up in front of a whole crowd and said, I want you to take notes right now. I'm going to tell you exactly why Bill Orender became a millionaire, a cash millionaire. And I was interested in hearing what he's going to say. He said, because that's all he wanted. And that's all. He taught me a lesson. See, I'm content with my wife, Carol, but I'm not satisfied in my marriage. I'm content with Jesus Christ, my Savior, but I'm not satisfied with my spiritual life. You can be content with where you're at, but you never be satisfied, because when you're satisfied, there's no movement. You don't try to get any better. You know, I'm not satisfied with my weight. I'm not satisfied with my health conditions. I'm not satisfied with how many books a month I read. But I'm content to be able to read. And so let me just talk about something. Art Williams. Again, if I'm not quoting Art Williams said, making money electrified me. You know, I had interviewed the other day, and people were recording what Art Bo said. Bo said people would be shocked, David, how money motivated Art was. You cannot get to where you want to go without money motivation. That's why I encourage everybody on this call, as soon as you get off, go buy Dennis Kimbrough's book, The Wealth Choice, and study it. I've read it 5 times. 5, and I take notes. So it takes me a long time to read because I want to take notes. I want to get this, David. I don't want to wake up one day and realize the only thing held me back was my relationship with money. And most people have a bad relationship with money. Starts out with how they come out of their mouth. What's in your heart comes out of your mouth. Like Dennis Kimbrough said, what's in your head is in your wallet. So you got to think it before you get it. You have not because you ask not. Said, let the rich pay for it. You ever hear that in America today? Let the rich pay for it. Yeah. Why? because you don't want to work. You don't want to accumulate yourself. Let corporations take care of me. Let them pay for my health insurance. People are not willing to take personal responsibility for their financial lives. Billy Graham even said this. If a person gets his attitude toward money straight, it will help straighten out almost every other area of their life. Art Williams said, we define success in Primerica by income. Money doesn't go where it's not wanted. Take a look at your net worth right now. That's how much money you wanted. If not, you'd have more. So when I came into Primerica, A.L. Williams, Waddell and Reed, I decided to be a financial goal setter. I read Think and Grow Rich numerous times. I went to my page 72 of Think and Grow Rich, where it says set a goal and recite before you go to bed at night, when you wake up in the morning. Most people don't do this. I understand it. I craved financial independence. That's what independence was to me, having money. No one's got their thumb on me. I mean, that's the financial virus getting you. You got to have the financial vaccine. Financial vaccine is a healthy net worth, not self-esteem, healthy net worth. What's in your head is in your wallet. So I had a goal. First goal I had was I wanted to make $100,000 a year. That no one, Art Williams, Virginia, and Bobby were the only ones making $100,000 back then. Second goal is I want to have $1 million by the time I was 40. And so I just started on that, and I started making money, and I started putting away. I did what I call save myself broke. If I get a check for $500, I mail $300 in to my mutual fund. Got a check for $1,000, I mailed $700 in. I wanted to stay lean and mean like Art talks about. The first goal you have to have is not an income goal. Listen to me now. Income is never the goal. It's the plan. What means this? Art Williams said this the last time, David, I think you were in Dallas 4 years ago or 3 years ago. When Art stood up, the last thing he talked about is he sent out this thing, have $1 million in 10 years. It's amazing how Art Williams wanted us to get financial independence and wealth. So no one had their thumb on us. He said, here's how you get to be have $1 million in 10 years. And he gave us this sheet. David, you got it. It says, put away $4,000 a month. So now the goal is $1 million. The plan is $4,000 a month. So again, I got to start making $12,000 a month to pay taxes, to live, to come up with $4,000 a month. So the goal is not $12,000 a month. The goal is $1 million. Now, to make $12,000 a month, I know that I make $500 per recruit. In your base shop, you analyze it, it works amazingly accurately. You've got to be getting, what's that, 25 recruits a month, whatever that math is. 28 recruits a month will help you make $12,000 a month in overrides. See, you don't recruit to recruit, you recruit to what? Make money, to put money away, to become financially independent. Why? Because once you get $1 million, in 6 years becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8. And see, that's the financial vaccine you're giving your family. People that don't recruit are really saying, I don't want to be wealthy. I don't mind having people's thumb on me and my children's life and their children's life, because they're going to have a thumb on them, whether it's the government or financial distress or wrecked marriage or something. Art Williams says we define success in Primerica by income. Napoleon Hill said, nothing brings a man so much suffering and humility than poverty. And Rabbi Daniel Lapin, I wish I could give you a whole thing on him. I read his book 6 times, the Thou Shalt Prosper, says money is a system stilling the very essence of a person's usefulness to their fellow man. In other words, tell me how much money you're making and I'll tell you how many people you served. Money sums up a person's creativity to deferred gratification. See, you've been brainwashed with money. Your kids are in school right now being brainwashed, indoctrinated against making and accumulating money. There's more to life than money. You know, one of my favorites was in a movie, there's a man, J. Paul Getty, and he was asked by somebody, how much is enough? Right? You've heard that, right? And he said, $1 more than I'm now making. And boy, people get all over him and condemn for how much is enough? Why can't you be happy with enough? I mean, how much will make you happy? How much is enough for you, right? You ever hear that? Oh, are you one of those people that say that? You've been trained to say that. Everything you know about money, you've been indoctrinated and taught by broke people. Remember what Tom Hopkins says? Never listen to anybody worse off than you. Guess what? Society is listening to the broke people who have no ambition, no drive, and don't want to create anything in their day. Just want a gimme, gimme, gimme. There's two kinds of people in this world, makers and takers. Are you a maker or are you a taker? See, society is a taker. The government is a taker. Just ask David how much money he pays in taxes. But they want to take all you got, David, and they can never get enough. It's okay if they don't have enough. But I liken it to this. How much is enough? Well, I've got 2 children, let's say, and I want to have a 3rd child. Someone comes up to me and says, well, why'd you just stay how many children is enough for you? Two's enough. Who are you to tell me how many children I should have? But in his mind, if you want more than him, something's wrong with you. Oh, Bill, you want a big house? What's wrong with you? Well, isn't 2,000 square feet enough? That should be enough for anybody. No one needs to live in a big old house. Like my uncle said, why do you need to live in such a big house? I said, why do you need to live in such a small house? Who has the right to tell you how much money you should make, how much money you should have? Who put them in charge? Folks, there's millions of people out there, and in order to satisfy them, you got to hit the number they want. They're never going to be satisfied because they're small thinkers. And we try to satisfy every last one of them by thinking small just like them. That's never going to work. You know, folks, man, I got so much to tell you. Years ago, when I was in your position, I still have a base. I love recruiting. I love building. I love creating RVPs. I love it. And I don't believe there's any word in the Bible for retirement. And God is a creator. And he made us in his image. We must be creators also. See, you're creating hierarchies. That's what you do. Because why? That's what you're wired to do. But years ago, when I hit a lull in my business, David, and I needed a surge, just did. I found out that I had to get in touch with my heart. Art Williams says you win with your heart, not your head. And he even says this, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. See, one of the things that we as Christians know, there's 2 salvations. There's the salvation of our souls for eternal life, and there's the salvation of our hearts because they're broken, and we are not wired for gratitude. We're not wired for caring. Bo Adams, and one of the guys says, the key to success is caring. Bo Adams said that. I didn't hear him say that, but I figured it out. And so I had to get in touch with my caring spirit and how much I cared for other people and how their life turned out. The word serve means making someone's life better. So if you're making anybody's life better, you're serving God. If you're a shoe shiner and you're shining someone's shoes, you're doing it for God. You're making their life better. And money is a reward that tells you and keeps you on track. God created business to force us to be good to one another, and he created money to make sure we did it. Oh, I love helping people. I'm making any money last month? No. See, money is the dipstick. It's better to have heart and no words than words and no heart. It's better to have heart and no words. See, this is a business where sometimes you just got to put down your presentation and say, can I just talk to you, David? Can I just talk to you about your future? The reason I'm calling is I care about how your life is going to turn out. See, we're afraid to look weak. We're afraid to be shamed. We're afraid to be vulnerable and transparent. Well, I'm transparent. I give a dang about how your life is going to turn out. And that's why I mentioned my spiritual life. Hopefully you understand that God placed me here. This is my assignment, not my job, not my career. You're going to be personally responsible for whether or not you have a caring spirit. Win without heart, with your heart, not your head, Art Williams said. Heart power, Art Williams said. If you know David, you know Art. He was Art on stage, but man, you felt him. He cared about you. He gave a dang. He called up. He rejoiced with you and he cried with you. That's what we do. Blessed people are blessed because God wants them to bless others. So if you're not recruiting, you don't see this as a blessing. You see this as a thing you're doing. It's a blessing. I want you to be a Christian. My life has been blessed by being a Christian. I want you to be you are so close, some of you, to accepting your salvation, not just eternally, but in the heart. It can change instantaneous. I don't want to go back to the old Bill Orender. You know, Dave was talking about going back to the old way. I don't want to go back to the old way, David. I like Zoom. I like wearing golf shirts and shorts, right? Let me just speak for a second about what I call a holy moment. See, when you talk to somebody, when you're on Zoom to somebody, you don't make phone calls, you make heart calls. You don't recruit somebody, you get them in with your heart, not your head, not what you say. A holy moment is when you are being the person God created you to be, and you are doing what you believe God is calling you to do at that moment. When you have no self-interest, no personal desire. See, I call you because I want to make money and have success, but when I'm on the phone with you, it's all about you. I call you because I care about you. Folks, we got to change our hearts and we change our lives. And I'm winding down now. I got to go, and so does David. You know something, David, I'll tell you a quick story. Man, I got about 4 minutes, but when I was in Hawaii, and we were below me was Mike and his wife, and I think your dad and mom, and you're saying, man, Mike, it's so great to be here, and we love this, and we never thought we'd ever be in Hawaii. See, Mike gave them, and you gave them a wow moment. And everybody wants a wow life. And see, when ordinary meets extraordinary, wow happens. You are ordinary meets the extraordinary of system of Primerica that Art gave us, wow happens. We all deserve a wow life. We all deserve a life where we can say, wow. See, I want to take my family to great resorts and hear my kids say, wow. I want to accomplish something that nobody else and everybody else had a hard time doing, and looked at me and say, you did that? Wow. I wanted my parents to see what I have achieved, shake their heads, have tears in their eyes, and say, wow. I want to take my mom and dad to Hawaii. They never did. They didn't want to go. But I bought my dad a new car. And before he picked it up, he had a stroke. Never drove it. But he said, wow. Don't you want to travel around the world and see places that 100% off one income will never allow you to have and say, wow? I wanted God to look at my accomplishments with my life. See how I lived it, how I served other people. Say, well done, good and faithful servant. And oh, by the way, Bill, wow. Doesn't God want you to have a wow life? This is, our system will allow you to have a wow life. One day, I want to have my wife look at me, the man that she married, and say, Bill, I thought it would be great, but wow. See, folks, when ordinary meets extraordinary, wow happens. Thank you very much. It's David, I'm so honored and blessed to have you and Jill allow me to let me give a shout out to Jeff Paul, a nephew of mine who was one of your top earners last month. Congratulations, Jeff Paul. And thank you very much for having me, David. It's a true honor. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, man. Good Lord, Bill. Man, that was absolutely incredible. And Bill, as you were sharing, just so many memories were just popping in my head. One thing I was thinking about is talking about art. And, I remember one time that he invited Jill and I to come over to the home office, and we just spent like almost a half a day together. And, after being around art and building that relationship over those years, I feel like if I had a second dad, art would be
Yeah,
it.
we all felt that way.
Yeah, he was such a special person. I felt like I found home. But I tell you, Bill, everything you were sharing, whether it's about the income, one of the things I've always told people is, the more income you make, the more needs you see. Whether it's in your own family, your community, your charities, and that type of thing. And then hearing about Bo Adams, I still remember the day that Bo Adams came down to the Grand Hotel and did a convention for Jill and I, and we had about a 2-hour lunch with Bo, real special time. But hey, guys, let me tell you, this to me was a divine appointment. Bill Orender sharing with us today. Because I look at, the 220 VPs, but, going back to the foundation, Bill, what you shared was so foundational. By the way, I'd love to get those slides and then how to order the book. I'll get that to all the guys. What's that? Oh, it's on Amazon. Okay, good. So, but we also got this recorded, guys, and anyway, what a special morning. And Bill, we love you and Carol. And again, thank you for sharing with the team. And I know everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. So we appreciate all of you. And guys, let's close out this month. And let's just, man, let's go. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, there's so many nuggets there. And of course, the comments and the chats going on. And I know it's hitting a lot of people. So, and let's game plan and let's communicate. Anybody that needs anything, if you're stuck right now, I mean, let's talk and let's game plan. And, one of the things in our hierarchy I've always talked about is building broad-based leadership. It's about you and your family, you and your goals, and you and your dream. And so anyway, so encouraging. So God bless y'all. Have a great weekend. We can help you. Let us know.